Welcome to video 3 for chapter 4 in Anatomy and Physiology. In this video, we're going to look at classification of epithelial tissue. So this little scheme up here, flow chart, is going to separate our different types of epithelial tissue and discuss where some of the classification comes from. So we're going to start here with epithelial tissue. And we're going to take this side over here first. So we're going to look at the first type, which is glandular. And there's actually two different ways that we are going to classify this. And we're missing an arrow in a diagram, so I'm just going to draw it in here. So the first way we are going to separate this is based on whether or not the glandular tissue has a duct or not. So if it does have one, that means that it is taking its secretions and funneling it through a small tube into another area. Those are called exocrine glands. So these have a duct. If they do not have a duct, then they have to rely on the blood vessels. So they secrete their products into the blood system, the circulatory system, and then it travels to its target tissue. Those are called endocrine glands, and they do not have ducts. So we have another classification system for glandular tissue, and this is based on cell loss. So this is another way to classify. And these are going to be merocrine, apocrine, and holocrine. So these are terms used to describe glandular tissue. And this is based on cell loss. So as something is being secreted, sometimes parts of the cell or the whole cell is destroyed in the process of secretion. So with merocrine, there is no cell loss. Apocrine, some cell lost. And holocrine, the entire cell is lost. So it basically breaks open and releases its substances, but in doing so, it compromises the whole cell. So that is one way to classify this. So holocrine basically destroys the cell or sacrifices a cell to release its substances. The other side over here deals with our coverings and lining cells. And it's classified either based on or both by shape and number of layers. So the shape of the cell is what we're looking at here, and there's four general shapes. The first one is called squamous, and it basically means flat. So the cell is kind of squished down and is a flat size or shape. The second one is called cuboidal. And here we have cubes, but we also have hexagons. So they kind of look like a hexagonal solid. And that's because things are kind of squished together and they flatten out a little bit. So they either look like little blocks or they look like little hexagons. Number 3, columnar. So these are more tall than wide. So they're elongated. And number 4 is transitional. Transitional can change shape. So it stretches. So as it stretches, it changes its shape. So that is one method of classifying the type of epithelial tissue is based on its shape. Then we add on the second part, which is, does it form more than one layer? So it can either be simple, which is one layer of cells. It can be stratified, which is two or more cell layers. Or it can be pseudo stratified. And pseudo in front of something means false. So this appears to be stratified, but really is one layer. So it's one layer, but looks like more. And the way that we determine this is all cells are attached to the basement membrane. So all cells are attached to the basement membrane with this.